All right, 2023 is upon us. And if you've been listening to this channel or watching this channel for any length of time, then you'll probably know that every year I like to do this. It's more for my own personal benefit, for my own accountability. So feel free to listen or not, but I encourage you just to get an idea of what I do. And based on the benefits I've found from doing it, I would encourage you to give it a shot. Put something out there publicly, declaring things that you want to accomplish during the next year. And I'm not talking resolutions. I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to change this about myself. I'm going to change this thing. I'm going to, I don't know. People have like non-specific things. Like, oh, I want to lose this much weight. Oh, I want to get this job. What have you. It's more about assigning tasks to complete. Something I developed, and I wouldn't say I developed it, but something I realized that worked for me back in 2020, which is when I first started implementing this and first really saw some serious forward progress in my life. Like, everything has improved since I started doing this. Can I attribute it 100% to doing this list every year and completing these goals every year? Maybe not. But there's definitely a correlation, if not a causation, that by doing this, my relationship has improved with my wife. I feel like I've become a better father. I've become more confident. I've become more resilient. And I've accomplished more goals that I wanted to achieve since 2020 than any years past in my life. So, if there's one thing that you get from this, it's don't even worry about the goals that I'm talking about here. Set some for yourself. You don't have to go down a crazy laundry list like I do. Pick 3 things. Pick 5 things. I would encourage you not to just pick one thing, though. Don't just pick one thing. Pick a few things that you want to do in this year, and that's output based, meaning it's based on the amount of work you put in, right? Each thing on the list should be something you can do through work, not something that comes about as a result of the work. You can't really say, I'm going to get this job. You could say, I'm going to put in this many applications. I'm going to have this many interviews. That's the goal you set. You don't set the goal to get the new job. You don't set the goal to have 100,000 YouTube subscribers. That's out of your hands. What you can do is say, I'm going to spend this many hours or this many days of this next year working specifically on this thing, and then keep track. Or I'm going to put out this many videos consistently this year. That's the sort of goals that you want to set for this approach. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into this. I always like to go back, and this is part of the accountability, right? I have yet to complete every single goal I set forth for the year. Never happens. I set big, lofty, and numerous goals. But this is what I've figured out, is that without setting these goals, I wouldn't have even attempted. I wouldn't have got a tenth of what I accomplished if I hadn't set the goal in the first place. You know, they say, shoot for the stars, land on the moon, and it's 100% true, man. You're going to accomplish more. Even if you don't accomplish every single thing on the list, you might accomplish 50% of it, and that's 100% more than you would have accomplished if you hadn't written any goals down. So let's go. This is me reviewing my goals from last year, telling you which ones I accomplished, which ones I didn't, and not really making any excuses for that. That's important too. Don't make excuses. Don't say, well, that was too lofty a goal or what have you. don't make excuses. Just say, hey, I'm going to shoot for that one next year. Or, hey, that became unimportant to me, and I have a new goal instead. But don't make excuses for not completing it. You set the goal. There was a reason you set the goal, and if you don't reach it, you got to own that. And that's what I'm here to do. So, we're going to review my 2022 goals before hopping into goals for this coming year. And I've definitely upped the ante. A couple of things I've lowered the bar on, but I've definitely upped the ante on a lot of other goals. So, let's hop in. In 2022, I had the goal of producing 250 podcasts and or videos. That's YouTube videos or any of the podcasts across the 4 podcasts that I do, and I absolutely did that. Between Long Lost Brothers, which we did, I believe, like 40-something episodes this year. Marvel Plus, which I probably did like 30 episodes this year plus. And then YouTube, the Daily BS podcast, even more guest appearances on podcasts. I've definitely put together and been involved in 250 podcasts and or videos this year. Next on the list was a pretty lofty goal. I wanted to complete 1 year of Murph. And, refer to some of my early videos if you want to find out what that is, but it's a CrossFit fitness challenge that usually people only do once a year, but my goal was to do it every week for the entire year. I only accomplished about 6 or 7 months of that before I fell off. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, no excuses, man. None. I didn't prepare for it. And so I started off sloppy. I started off completing it with half reps and just getting by to finish the workout. And that's not the way I wanted to start. And I quit. It got hard towards the end of the year. I had trouble fitting it in, and so I didn't. So that's on me. Next, originally I wanted to complete a marathon. I like to do a yearly marathon. But honestly, this came after a discussion with my wife, and I kind of made a concession that we realized a lot of my goals are for my family as well, and for my relationship with my wife as well. And one of the things I realized that this goal severely cut into family time, severely cut into those family goals. And so, my wife and I were talking, and I came to the realization that the best thing to do was to make it a half marathon this year. And I did that. I did the half marathon. I trained for it. The goal is, train for 3 months, complete the task. And I did that with the half marathon. And I quickly adjusted that goal. So it's not like, I got to it and then decided, I'm halfway through it, that's all I'm going to do. It wasn't like that. Before I even started prep for it, before I even started training, very quickly, like maybe a month after setting the goal, I went, we're going to do the half marathon this year instead of the full marathon. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that I adjusted that goal, for the betterment of maybe some of my other goals. And I completed it. And I feel good about it. And next year I'll be completing another half marathon with a time goal in mind, which this one did not have a time goal in mind. Next goal was bike 100 miles in 1 day. I don't even own a bike, folks. I didn't purchase a bike. I'll tell you what I did do. I went out on a couple rides, thinking I would get my bearing, thinking I would work my way up to buying my own bike, and then, no. I went out on a couple rides with my son on my other son's bike, and it's still a goal I want to accomplish, but I did not accomplish it this year. I don't know. It did not take priority, so, but it is definitely something I want to do, and I wish I would have done this year. Next on the list is 25 dates with my wife. And unfortunately, that did not happen. My wife, in March, came down with COVID. And after that, she developed symptoms of long COVID. And I want to say this is excuses, but we didn't go on official out to lunch dates or official out together dates. Do we spend time together? Absolutely. But she was kind of rarely leaving the house, and sometimes our dates, and I didn't count them. I didn't count them as official dates because, I don't like to do that. I don't like to half-ass something and be like, oh yeah, well that counts as a date. It wasn't. We would go to like doctor's appointments that she had to go to, or we would go to the grocery store together. Like those were the kind of quote-unquote dates we went on. So I do not count those as dates. I think they should be intentional, like out to lunch, out to a movie, things like that. I think up until that point, we may have went on, 8 to 10 dates this year. And that's something I really want to prioritize in this upcoming year. Finally, her health looks like it might be taking a turn for the better, and we should be able to get out and about and do these things that we so enjoy doing. So just really hoping to be able to do that in the next year, but fail for 2022. Next, I planned to help my wife with organizing our entire house. Our house is in a state that we never imagined it would be in terms of clutter, and we have wanted to take care of that for a long time. And I'm not gonna lie to you, we didn't do shit until like this final few weeks of the year. And it's upsetting because the amount of progress that we can make, and we saw that we can make in this final push of the year, showed us that like we can do this. We can do this. It gives me full confidence for next year in achieving this goal, but we did not accomplish that goal. This is definitely not a 2020 year, guys. In 2020, I crushed it. 2022 was not like that at all. But that's part of this. It's part of the accountability of it, right? Moving on. 20 couples counseling sessions with my wife. This, I believe we achieved. For most of the year, every 2 weeks we had a counseling session. There was a little bit of a dry spell when we, ran into, hey, we don't have money really to do that for this month, Counseling's not cheap. But I do believe, I didn't count exactly, but we definitely stayed at it for most of the year. And I think our relationship is definitely better for it. It's another thing of accountability, right? Like, you hold yourselves accountable to go to these counseling sessions, and in those counseling sessions, you're able to hold yourself accountable to someone else, right? Someone else there to hold you accountable. And it was very beneficial, I believe. Our relationship, as I said, since 2020, since 2019, since I first really just became, really honest and more direct and decided, with my wife's help, to stop using drugs and alcohol and focus on transparency and attend counseling, both personal and couples counseling, our relationship has improved drastically. So this is something I will keep in my goals going forward. Next on the list, 25 Long Lost Brothers episodes. Jesse and I smashed that goal. I think, like I said, I think we probably did 40 this year, pretty consistently recording every week. Every now and then we'd miss a week, but we crushed that. Almost doubled it. Next on the list, create an LLC for all my creative works. That, I'm happy to say, I did accomplish. About 2 months ago, I created Brett Scott Productions LLC. It's kind of an umbrella LLC to encompass all of my podcasts, my YouTube channel, all those things, all things I can consider productions, right? Things that I produce as creative works. I now have all those listed under an LLC that I can go forward and claim them under that LLC. It's official. Next, open a business bank account for the LLC. And I'll tell you what, I had 2 appointments to do this. I had 1 appointment about 2 weeks ago to do this, and I missed the appointment, and I shouldn't have. I should not have missed the appointment, but I did, and that's on me. Then the second appointment I missed because I came down with COVID, and I didn't want to go into the bank with COVID. So, like I said, no excuses, because I shouldn't have missed the first appointment. I should have made it happen. And I don't remember what it was. I think it was, I worked super late the night before and wasn't able to make it, and so I had to reschedule. Something like that. I should have just made it. Anyway, fail. Next, I've been writing a book, or attempting to write a book, for the past couple years, since I announced it in 2020. And 2020 is the last time I worked on the book, or maybe it was 2021. 2021 was the last time I worked on the book. So I did not write a single chapter, although I told myself I was going to write 5 chapters in 2022. I failed at that goal. I failed. And it just thinking about it and talking about it earlier tonight on one of my other podcasts, it's definitely lit a bit of a fire under me to really get going on this again, because I hate announcing stuff publicly and then not following through. I hate it. And that's why I do this. That's why I do this accountability thing, because I know it means a little more when you write it down, not only write it down, but announce it to someone. However small a peer group, I think it's important to tell somebody about your goal. And that's why I do it here. So, those were my goals for 2022. What did I do? Half and half? 50% complete? Maybe? Not a strong year. I'm not satisfied. I'm happy with the things that I did accomplish, but I am not satisfied with the amount of things that I accomplished. So let's move on. Let's talk about what I want to achieve in 2023. Let's see how I've upped the ante a little bit. All right. This one's going to be tough for me. This is a daily goal. It's going to be tough. But I want to, I've recognized the benefits for me personally of taking cold showers, and my goal this year is just to take cold showers regularly. I want to try to take a cold shower daily. I want to try to make it part of my daily routine. So that is a goal. Cold showers daily for 2023. Next on the list, the Goggins 4x4x48 challenge. This is an intense challenge. It's a one and done challenge. You know, it's not one of those like work on it continuously all year. It's something I want to complete. 4 miles, run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. That's a grind. A total of 48 miles in a 2-day span. This is something that's kind of been a bucket list thing. Like, I've seen other people completing it the last couple of years, and I'm like, man, that sounds like a fucking grind. And I want to do it. I want to taste a little bit of that suffering and dig deep and complete that goal. So sometime during this year, and I might be able to rope a couple of other people into it, hopefully. No one wants to suffer alone, but I will if I have to. 4x4x48 challenge, 2023 goal. Next, I completed, I produced a live podcast from a fan con, basically a Comic Con in Columbus this year, and I had such a blast doing it, and there's a lot of benefits to it for me. I'm very nervous and scared to speak in public. Public speaking in front of a live audience scares the shit out of me, and I think it was a great exercise for me to go through. I had a blast doing it. I think it was a tremendous success, and my goal for this next year is to do 2 of those. 2 of those. I want to return to the same fan con again and attend some other fan con and do the same thing. And yeah, I want to complete 2 more Marvel Plus live shows this year. Marvel Plus podcast live shows in front of an audience. Next on the list, as I said, I need to work on this damn book. I have lowered the expectation for myself in hopes that it feels more achievable and not as daunting. 3 chapters. I want to write 3 chapters of the book this year. And sometimes what I do is I overachieve on these goals. One year I set a goal to run 500 miles in 1 year, and it turned into 1,000 because halfway through the year I had already gotten to 500. I said, you know what, let's make this a real challenge. And so if I reach those 3 chapters, believe you me, I'm gonna crank out some more. But that is the absolute minimum goal. 3 chapters of the book that I want to write. I'm already a few chapters into this. I'm not saying I haven't started the book. I've started it, but I haven't worked on it in over a year, and I want to get back to it. So that's it. Next on the list, I want to complete 1 official race this year, whether it be a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, something official on the books, a race that I sign up for. You have a number, you have a time to start, you starting line, finish line, an actual recorded time of completion. I've never done that. All of the stuff that I've done, these marathons, these half marathons, they're all, self-recorded, self-induced, self-mapped out. I create the course and I run it myself, and I track it with my fitness tracker. I want to do a real race this year. I've been talking about doing it for years. I know this is the year I want to complete at least 1 official race, no matter what that race is. Next, the bike 100 miles in 1 day. It's not a super priority, but I'll tell you what, I want to get this thing done. I want a reason to buy a bike, man. I want a reason to buy a bike. I want to get out there with my wife and ride a bike. My kids all have bikes. I want to go on bike rides with them. And if I'm doing that, man, I can't do anything without some sort of difficult goal. It drives me to complete other tasks. So if I have this goal, I'll buy a bike. If I know I got to get ready for this 100-mile ride, I'm going to buy a bike. And so I'm going to keep that in place. 100-mile bike ride in 1 day. That's a goal for 2023. Next up, I have lowered this one a little bit. Kind of. I want to produce 100 YouTube videos. That's very specific. Not podcasts or videos, not amongst all my podcasts and YouTube and everything, just specifically YouTube videos. I want to produce 100 of them this year. I felt like I've kind of fallen off a little bit of the YouTube game. A couple of years ago, I was on a mission to record 1 video a day for the entire year, and I'm pretty sure I did that. If not, very, very close to that. And so I'm not going to shoot for that aggressive of a goal YouTube-wise, because I now have all the podcasts as well that I want to achieve goals for and stuff like that, live shows and all this other stuff to plan for. But I do want to stay consistent with YouTube, and 100 videos is around two videos per week, and I think that's not only sustainable and achievable, but it's good for consistency in terms of putting out content on YouTube and maintaining a following and growing an audience. So 100 videos on YouTube. Next up, got to complete the half marathon again, guys. But this time, the goal is to do it in under 2 hours. I have a time goal. The only other time goals I've had before is just to PR the year before, right? Do better than the year before. This year, I want to go above and beyond that. Last year, I did it in 2 hours and 11 minutes. This year, I want to do the half marathon in under 2 hours. And I'm going to do that by implementing like speed work and marathon pace runs in my training and stuff like that I never implemented before. I really want to get serious about breaking that 2-hour barrier on the half marathon. Hey guys, I'm not done running marathons. I'm going to run another marathon at some point. But this year it's the half marathon again with a goal of under 2 hours. Next up, at least 25 Long Lost Brothers episodes. Same as last year. I just want to stay consistent with that. I believe we'll probably pump out at least 30 to 40. But, you know, I got to set that minimum goal, and it's 25 for Long Lost Brothers. Next up, we're going to get this house in order. Eva and I are going to get this goddamn house in order. That's all there is to it. It's happening this year. I feel like we have the confidence. I feel like her health is improving. I feel like the little bit of work we did at the end of the month, the way we breezed through a lot of the stuff that we thought would just be like all-encompassing and overbearing. I think we got this, man. I think we've seen the light at the end of the tunnel. That we've seen what's possible, and I think with a year of time to accomplish this goal, we're going to crush it. We're going to get our shit in order. Next up. This is a goal I have not set in years past. Something I really want to do. And now that I've kind of taken on an extra side hustle of landscaping and lawn work throughout the year, I want to save $5,000 into my savings for the family. $5,000 towards whatever, whether that's towards a house, towards paying off debt, whatever it is. I want $5,000 set aside that is not for bills, that is not for this or that, like it's not for Christmas, isn't for vacation. It's savings. It's put aside. Long-term savings. It's the first time I've had a financial goal like this in my goal setting, and I think it's something I really need to start implementing, because I've noticed when I set goals, I reach them, or I at least come close to reaching them. I come closer than I ever would if I didn't set the goal. If I don't set the goal, I won't get $1 saved. But if I set a $5,000 goal and I reach $3,000, hey, I'm fucking winning regardless. But we're gonna hit that $5,000 mark. That's all there is to it. 5,000 extra bucks in the bank. A cushion. Which is something we've never really had. Next up. I want to do the Murph project, and I want to do it right this year. I want to be prepared when Memorial Day comes around. I want to complete the Murph challenge all year long, one time per week for the entire year. And what Murph challenge is, the Murph challenge is to do it 52 times, right? 53 actually. You do it for the entire year, 1 day a week. And what Murph is it's a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 body weight squats, and then another 1 mile run, all for time, as quickly as possible. And it sounds like a crazy ass workout, and it is. But you'd be surprised what your body can adapt to. 6-7 weeks in, it's just another workout. It's just another 45-minute long workout. And just for consistency's sake, I want to push, I want to push my limits. I want to do this every week for the next year, starting in May. Starting on Memorial Day. Next up, I want to create another LLC this year for that very same lawn care, landscaping and lawn care business that I told you about. It's kind of a side hustle, but I'd like to make it a little more than a side hustle. Or at least to make it an official side hustle. I can't see buying all this equipment and doing all this work without getting the tax benefits of forming an LLC for it. Writing off the tools, writing off the transportation, writing off the gas, all the stuff that goes into all this lawn work and landscaping work. It's silly not to write off the taxes for that. And I want to form an LLC for that. So by the end of the year, my plan is to have 2 LLCs in my name. And yeah, I'm a man of many. I'm not going to say talents because I'm not super talented at anything. Man of many hustles. I feel like I always kind of have been. And now I'm just making it official, right? I'm a podcaster. I'm a YouTuber, right? I'm a content creator. I'm a landscaper. I'm a lawn care professional. I think I'm pretty damn professional. I'm not technically a professional, but does this make me a professional? If I have a legitimate business? I don't know. We'll see. But I love the hard work aspect of it. And I love the before and after. I love the feeling of accomplishment it gives me. I love turning something not so beautiful into something gorgeous. And that's something I can do. It's art. It's art. It really is. It's art through hard work. It's like, man, it kind of defines what I do in every aspect of my life. It really does. Like, combining hard work with art. And a lot of people don't equate the two, like super hard work, right? Grinding. Just pushing the limits physically is not usually put together with artistic endeavors, artistic callings. Yes, there's a lot of work in artistic endeavors, but people don't think of you think of art as like an expression, right? You don't think of, I don't know. I'm going too deep into this. That's my goal. Create an LLC for the lawn care business this year. And then lastly, I want to do at least one Marvel Plus Patreon bonus episode every month. So that's 12 for the year. I feel like I've been neglecting it. I feel like that's not fair to the people who contribute money to the Marvel Plus Patreon. And I just, I'm not happy with it. I want a better product there. I want to be producing something better, especially if someone is paying hard-earned money for it. I want to be giving them something that no one else who listens to the podcast gets. And I feel like I've been failing in that, and I really want to hold myself to account there. And I want to produce some really cool, fun bonus episodes for that podcast. So 12 episodes in the upcoming year for the Marvel Plus Patreon page, specifically for the Patreon supporters. And that's it, guys. That is my list of goals for 2023. I know it's long-winded. I know it was a lot. That's how it goes with this sort of thing, though. Like I said, I set a lot of goals and lofty goals and shoot for the stars, land on the moon. I really want to land on the stars. That's the goal. If I can accomplish everything on this list, it will be my best year ever in terms of accomplishing goals. And that usually equates to my best year ever in life. 2020 was like that. It set me on a path to onward and upward movement in my life, and I want to continue that. I feel like I've fallen off a little bit in 2022, and I really want to recapture that fire in 2023. I hope you guys get something from this other than me just rambling about my own personal goals and my self-indulgent bullshit. I hope that you take some of this and implement it into your year coming up. I don't set resolutions, I set hard goals, and then I hold myself accountable at the end of the year. So whether you do that or not, that's up to you. But this is what I do, and I've gained a lot from it. Anyway, thank you for listening. Man, if you're interested in not only this type of stuff, but my entertainment and pop culture musings, please subscribe to the channel. That's mostly what I do, is talk about entertainment and pop culture on the channel. A bunch of nerd stuff. If you're interested in that, with a little bit of this kind of stuff sprinkled in, then please subscribe for more. If you do decide to subscribe or favorite or follow the Daily BS podcast, then I will talk to you all again very soon. when we get started on that 100 YouTube videos for 2023. Thanks.